Nissan has unveiled the updated Kicks to their small, cheap, entry-level SUV lineup. The vehicle has been on sale since 2018, and although Nissan sold 60,000 of them in 2023, it was due for a redesign. I love to see more cheap vehicles on the market, and I'm actually pretty curious to see what Nissan did here to make the Kicks better. The exterior looks pretty good and has a sort of rugged yet futuristic design. The vehicle has grown slightly and is now 171.9 inches. This is up 2.8 inches from the previous model. The wheelbase for the front-wheel drive version is up to 104.6 inches, up 1.5 from last year's model. This will increase by 0.3 inches for the all-wheel drive model. The width is up 1.6 inches. Looking at its competitive set, the Kicks is still one of the smaller options both in length and width. Starting from the front, we have a new front fascia with a grille that extends for about half the length of the front. We have a new headlight design with these daytime running lights that extend all the way down the grille. One thing to note is that these additional running lights only come on the top trim SR. The other trims will have just the main headlight unit. The lower grille has the panel that is gray, and the lower bumper sort of has this textured look to it. Moving to the side profile, we can see the two-tone look that Nissan likes to do. You have an interesting wheel design. The rocker panels have this three-dimensional shape that Nissan says is inspired by athletic sneaker design. Moving towards the rear, we have a small roof spoiler. The taillights are LED, and they kind of give me Nissan Micra vibes from certain angles. Rounding everything off is a panoramic sunroof. The vehicle looks fairly good for what it is, and I don't really have any complaints here. Because the Kicks got bigger and about 3,000 pounds heavier than before, Nissan gave it a bigger 2-liter inline-4 rated for 141 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque. This will be paired to a CVT. This is an increase of 19 horsepower and 26 pound-feet of torque. Although the increases are big, this isn't really class-leading, but it's finally competitive with its peers, while last generation's Kicks had one of the lowest horsepower and torque figures. One thing to note here is that a decent portion of its competitors do have engine upgrades that can kick up the power a bit while at a price, but the Kicks doesn't really offer that, which is why I'm only comparing it to its base configurations in this spreadsheet right here. The Kicks will be offered with all-wheel drive, which opens up the door for a lot more consumers who want it or live in colder climates. Speaking of colder climates, models equipped with all-wheel drive come with Snow Mode that has yaw control using targeted brake application, which helps further ensure the Kick stays on the driver's intended line when cornering in snow or ice. Nissan says that the Kicks has a segment-leading ground clearance of 8.4 inches. I'm not sure if they're comparing it to the Subaru Crosstrek because that has a ground clearance of 8.7 inches. If they are, that claim is not true then. But in all, it should be able to tackle, off-road trails, going to your favorite hiking spot or whatever. But in all, Nissan addressed a hole in the lineup by offering all-wheel drive. A hybrid or detuned version of the Rogue's 3-cylinder turbo would have been a nice option, but it's supposed to be at cheap transportation, and the Kicks will probably be topping out where some of these other vehicles start. To me, the interior received the biggest glow up, and it looks modern, simple. We have a silver gray painted accenting on the dash and the door panels. We have faux stitching on the door panels and the dash as well. It's just not giving off cheap vibes to me like the last generation of this vehicle did. We have a flat bottom steering wheel. I think the section with the buttons look a little tiny for my liking, like you can easily fat finger a command. All Nissan Kicks have a dual screen setup. The standard models get 7 inches each, while the SR trims, the top mature model, gets 12.3 inch units. And considering the price of this vehicle, I think that's pretty fair in my opinion. They do have 2 display modes for the digital gauge cluster, enhanced and classic view. The infotainment gets wireless Apple and Android Auto. One thing to note is that the base S does not get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is a huge L. I get it's supposed to be a cheap vehicle, but even cars like the Kia Rio and the Mitsubishi Mirage have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto standard. There's just no excuse not to have it in a vehicle in 2024. And for a buyer that's looking at lower end trims of different subcompact vehicles, it's a mission that could probably sway a purchasing decision, in my opinion. Down below that, we do have touch capacitive buttons for the HVAC controls. which is kind of an L in my opinion too. Nothing beats traditional buttons. Nissan does say that this is a SR trim specific thing, so I'm assuming that the lower end models get a more traditional buttons. In the area, you also get your gear lever cup holders. Nissan says that the two cup holders are designed around fitting a 30-ounce coffee tumbler and an enclosed storage compartment. The bottle holders in the doors are large enough to fit a 32-ounce Yeti tumbler as well. And there are up to 4 USB Type-C charge ports in the cabin, but this is only for the top-of-the-line SR trim. The SV gets 2 and the base gets 1. Wireless charging will come with the SV and the SR trims. The SR also has an optional 10-speaker Bose audio system. They had headrest speakers for the passenger seats in addition to the ones that were already on the driver's side. I hear that people like the speaker headrest, so it's good that the passenger gets of it as well. It'll probably enhance the experience for the passengers in the back as well. But there is no subwoofer in this audio system though. The Kicks has zero gravity seats, and like most Nissans, but this time it's not only for the front row, but it's also for the rear as well. They also increased the space for the vehicle passengers as well. The front shoulder room has increased by 1.7 inches. The second row knee room has increased by 0.9 inches, along with additional 1.5 inches more for your shoulder room. If you need to carry a lot of things, the Kicks offers up to 30 cubic feet with the seats raised and 60 when lowered. The capacity when the second row is lowered is a significant increase from last generation's 32.3 cubic feet. One thing to note is that some of the space will be taken up should you opt for the all-wheel drive system, and those models will have 23.9 cubic feet of space. Looking at its other competitors in the space, the Kicks is towards the top when it comes to the front-wheel drive configuration. Once you lower the seats, some of its competitors catch up, but it's still nothing to complain about here. Nissan says that the amount of space that they offer here is close to competitors in one segment larger, which I guess is sort of true. It only really beats the Mazda CX-5, which is notoriously small for its class, but it's about 5 to 7 cubic feet off for other competitors if you want to be charitable to Nissan here. There's also an underfloor storage compartment along with a flexible luggage board on the SV and SR grades that offer 2 levels for trunk floor. In the upper position, it's easier to slide items in and out of the trunk, and there's a completely flat floor when the second row seats are folded. Meanwhile, taller items can be carried with the floor in its lower configuration. It has a 40.3-inch cargo opening, which Nissan claims is one of the widest in its class, and is designed for stowing things like a stroller, golf bag, other long items. The Kicks has a liftover height of under 28 inches, so it's going to really help you when you're trying to lift things into the vehicle or take heavier items out of the vehicle. Nissan gets Safety Shield 360 standard, and I'll put some of the features on the screen. The Kicks S and the SV include intelligent cruise control as standard. The top trim SR adds Pro Pilot Assist, which is basically lane centering on top of the adaptive cruise control. There's also a rear door alert, which can notify the driver about potentially forgotten items, along with an intelligent driver alert, which can basically notify you if you need to take a break or falling asleep or something like that. But we don't have pricing yet, but that should be coming soon considering that it's supposed to be going on sale in the summer. And I'll make a video covering that and the packaging. If you want to see the packaging now, I'll leave a link to that in the description. But that said, I think it'll come in at around $23,000 and might top out at $26,000 to $27,000. In all, the newest Kick seems like a win for Nissan, and I think they'll sell a lot of these. It'll probably be cheaper than a lot of its competitive set while offering a lot of good features and tech for that money. It is also really practical. I like what they did with the storage here, but you can also tell me what you think right below in the comments, which is right below the like button. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep it tuned here for more news and cars and stuff like that. Peace.